News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. And I will say that, yes, I'm very happy and excited about Pam Bondi being the Attorney General nominee. She'll get through even fake news. As CNN's legal analyst says, she is without question qualified to be the Attorney General. She's been prosecutor for 20 years in Florida, 8 of those Attorney General of the state. Very big, complicated job. And that level of experience is on par with or better than most U.S. attorneys general that we've seen over the past 50 years. So she's going to ace it. She's going to ace it well, and she's good. I like her. So I love what one of my buddies said. For those of you, my buddy Eric Erickson, who I mentioned quite a lot on this show because he's really good at what he does. He tweeted out, "Please stop being easily manipulated morons. If you really think Matt Gaetz' nomination was a four-dimensional chess play to get Pam Bondi, indeed, you're a dumbass." I think it's pronounced Dumas. I would agree. It is not four-dimensional chess. It's just they will sometimes pick somebody they know won't make it, but they do it, like not just him, but all presidents. They can get in there other people that might be a little controversial, and they look great compared to him. And that's exactly what this was. He knew that he wasn't going to get in there. And I think Matt Gaetz knew that he wasn't going to get through and knew he had to get out of the House before the the investigation they're going to release would have said. And you got more people coming forward. Did he do those things? It quite possibly, yes. I don't know. But there's no way he was going to get it. I think most of us knew that. I was like, maybe, right? But here it is. No big deal. It doesn't bother me at all. And RFK Jr. is not looking nearly as crazy, right? Although they're trying to make him look crazy today. Oh, he believes in chemtrails. And I was like, what? I don't know. Are you worried about it, Producer Garrett? Are you worried about him being the HHS secretary? No. He's not going to do anything that Trump's not going to let him do. So I'm not worried about it. Chemtrails. Whatever. Okay, the illegals. Biden administration today quietly loosening immigration restrictions ahead of Trump's term. Last-ditch effort, quote unquote. This is from the New York Post today via Fox News. Biden administration loosening key immigration restrictions ahead of Trump's second term. See what he's doing? He's unleashing everything. This is radical. This is crazy. There's 7 weeks. Guess what he's doing now? He is launching a new ICE portal app in December. Dude, that's 6 weeks, 7 weeks. No, let me do the math here. It's going to be like 5 weeks. I don't know. Let me do the math. Stand by here. This is my little brain doing the math. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks. Yeah, 7 weeks and 2 days, approximately, before Trump takes over. And he's launching a new app that will, you're not going to believe this one, though. It'll allow illegal migrants to skip their in-person check-in at an ICE office and instead check in with immigration officials via an app on their phone or computer. The app reportedly has several glitching issues, does not track an illegal migrant's location if he or she is using an Android phone or laptop. Come on in! Rape us! Murder us! Molest the children! The app does not check illegal migrants for past arrests, doesn't check them for outstanding warrants, allows them to opt out or contest government orders to undergo electronic tracking. The New York Post reports up to 100,000 illegals will be enrolled in the new program's first wave of illegals. He's trying to destroy this country. I want to scream right now. Yeah, a flash of anger just hit me. I want to scream. This son of a bee is trying to destroy our country from within. It comes after Biden administration set the record for the highest number. These people that are doing this with him hate this country. It set the record for the highest number of illegal migrants. He already has this past year in 2023, the highest ever of this invasion, highest ever of the entire history of our country. 3.2 million illegals have taken over our country last year alone. The year before that was the highest before it ever. 2.7 million. Joe Biden has lit a freaking flame to this country. Now, meanwhile, Denver's mayor is responding to Trump's threats to defund sanctuary cities. He says, we won't change. These are our core values. We're not going to be bullied into changing them. Great, let's defund them. And Trump can arrest anybody and charge anybody. The federal government can prosecute you and charge you and arrest you if you hinder, apprehend, hide, or anything that gets in the way of their duties to deport, hunt down illegals, and get them out of here. This is a war. It really is. And then one of the experts that are working with veterans and will be working with the Trump administration coming in was on Fox News this morning, and I'll play it for you coming up next at 15 minutes after the hour. But she is saying that indeed the Biden administration stole money that was supposed to be for veterans and used it to house these illegals and feed these illegals. And as you know, they kicked many veterans out of their housing and put these illegals in. So here's my questions for you. Are you okay with taking money from veterans and giving it to illegal immigrants? And does this make you want to support? You know, some of you guys were against the Texas holding facility. The Texas land commissioner said via Governor Abbott said we're going to give 1,400 acres right by the border, and we're going to have it for a massive staging area to house, feed, clothe, and deport and detain illegals. We'll be rounding them up and bringing them right into that mega center for this region. There'll be regional centers all over the country. Does this make you support a massive Texas holding facility by the border and all over the country, having them using our military to round them up, knowing that they're stealing money from veterans and taking their housing? And are you okay with that, along with local and state cops helping? And do you want Trump to defund sanctuary cities and arrest any city or state officials that get in the way of rounding up illegals? Lines wide open. Want to hear from you. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. Are you okay with literally taking money from veterans and giving it to illegals, as Joe Biden has done? Doesn't this make you want to support that massive Texas holding facility, where they're offering up 1,400 acres, I should say, of Texas land, and to be used by the federal government under Trump to house, detain, and deport those illegals? And do you want Trump defunding sanctuary cities and arresting their officials if they are getting in the way or hindering rounding up, apprehending illegals or hiding them? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. I'm going to give you more details on this. You're going to hear from a veteran. I guess she's a lobbyist who will also be working with the Trump administration, works and lobbies on behalf of veterans. And she said on Fox and Friends this morning what I was telling you, that in fact money is budgeted and slated for veterans has been taken by the Biden administration and given to illegals. You'll hear her say it on Fox and Friends this morning. Coming up next, plus your call. 3 lines open, 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. I got to tell you, there was enough people. There's 3 or 4 or 5 people that called in yesterday that were really not wanting to allow that 1,400 acres of land that is owned by our state to be used for a mega center to detain, round up, and hold and deport, and have it as a staging center where you have a judge that can say you're out of here, and then Trump will obviously remain in Mexico. Then we can put him right over the other side of the border. It's also by an international airport in the RGV. That way they can fly him directly to these other countries where they're from, or a third country. These third countries, what do you call it? The third best or best third countries. That's where they can be held until they are adjudicated. And perhaps sent back even to countries that say they don't want them, Venezuela. And I heard again today, one of the guests on Fox say, indeed, it is Maduro, the dictator who is not duly elected in Venezuela, who is dumping all of these prisoners, these Trinidad members, into our country. And I heard by Victor Avila, that's who it was that was talking about this today. We've had him on our show a bunch of times. He's a former DEA agent and such, and he says, in fact, that he wouldn't call Tren de Aragua, which has been dumped in here by the tens of thousands, thanks to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, he wouldn't call them a gang. He would call them a cartel. And I would agree. Right now, they're trying to overthrow the Gulf Clan in Colombia. Can you believe that? They went into Colombia. They've been in Colombia for years. They're in 5 other nations in Central and South America, taking them over and killing and destroying all their gangs and taking them over. And they are now trying to dethrone the Gulf Clan in Colombia. Can you believe this? That's who they are. All right. That's coming up next. 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. We'll first talk to Steve in Plano. And you hear that veterans expert tell us the information about the veterans being robbed for the illegal. Coming up next to the Chris Crock Show at 17 after the hour on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. 800-288-9227 is our number.
Has the Biden administration been helpful for you? Have we seen numbers go up or down? And what about under Trump?
Well, it was interesting. Trump's first term, it was way down, veteran homelessness, because they were really heavily leaned into the veteran community. And then when we had this migrant crisis, a lot of the VA HUD-VASH funds that are supposed to house homeless veterans ended up getting reallocated to migrants. So it went up by 12%. And I think it will go back down under this new administration.
Wow. So that money that was supposed to go to veterans went to the migrants. Correct. And that's why some of these veterans are on the street. They didn't tell that first guy why he wasn't allowed to stay in the shelter.
Well, they're not allowed to stay in the shelter because there's not enough shelters is the problem. And if you went to prison, like most of these people have gone to prison for domestic violence and things, drugs, and then they can't get in the shelter. They won't put them in these military shelters, so they continue to not get rehabilitated. They just retain their trauma for their whole life.
All right, that's a veteran expert. I think she's either a lobbyist or she works on behalf of veterans with administrations, Trump first, now Biden, and then Trump again. But you heard it for yourself on Fox. It even surprised the Fox reporter or host that was interviewing her this morning on Fox and Friends, I believe it was. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Are you okay with taking money from veterans and giving it to illegals? I hope not. Does this make you want to support that massive Texas holding facility by the border where our Texas Land Commissioner and Governor Abbott are saying we have 1,400 acres of land. We want to use it to stage a mass deportation operation as one of the centers that Trump's going to have them all over the country, he said, including outside of major sanctuary cities as well. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. And do you want Trump defunding sanctuary cities and arresting any city or state officials that get in the way of rounding up these illegals, which is against federal law, and they can be arrested and prosecuted for it? I sure do. 800-288-WBAP is our number. Steve in Plano, hello, you are on WBAP. Welcome.
Hey, good evening. Good evening. Yeah. So with regard to the camps, man, I'm fine with that. I mean, I'd much rather have them in camps getting ready to go back home where they came from than sitting here in my neighborhood, raping kids and doing everything else. So, yeah, I'm fine with that. I don't necessarily want VA money spent for that, if that's what's being, touted, but
what they're saying is Biden is stealing VA money to give to the illegals right now.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's he should be prosecuted and go to jail for mismanagement of funds.
Well, we have people yesterday that were disagreeing with allowing 1,400 acres of Texas land to be used as a mass staging ground for deportations and stuff, and whenever they get rounded up to be held. And they're like, we need that for our veterans. I'm like, well, number one, it's in Starr County on the south. It's right by the border. Number two, you can't force people to go there, and unless you're arresting them and taking them into custody. And then number three. We find out today, I didn't know that, the Fox reporter didn't know that they're taking money, Joe Biden's taking them from veterans anyways and making them homeless. So I would hope my listeners yesterday that were calling in disagreeing with me on that would say, okay, yeah, let's do that. Let's get them out of here so we can help our veterans and get these illegals out of here. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it all comes down to priorities, right? And I mean, I think Trump's got the right priority to get rid of the illegal immigrants that are here illegally.
Right.
They should do it legally, and focus on that. He also obviously needs to focus on the VA as well. What's happened there has been pretty much a travesty over the years, and it's sad to see our veterans have to deal with that on their own, really, without any real support. So I
appreciate your call, Steve. I thank you very much. Noah Rockwall, WBAP, welcome. What do you got?
Hey, man, I appreciate you having me. I think that the whole fact about the Biden administration taking the VA money to supply illegal immigrants away from veterans is just a downright lowball. I think, if anything, it would probably take about 2 Republican presidencies to fully finish off the deportation issue. It would also help if nothing got in the way. But if somebody were to get in the way, I do believe that they should be held accountable by law.
Good. Hey, what do you think about Biden today opening up a new app and making it easier for illegals to flood us over the next 8 weeks or 7 weeks before Trump takes over? A new ICE portal app that starts December, allowing illegals to skip their check-ins at ICE offices and check in via an app. And, hey, it doesn't track you or know where you're at if you have an Android phone. Either doesn't even work. Up to 100,000 will be allowed in the first wave. Isn't this great?
Yeah, I mean, I completely do not understand. I mean, even when they both sat down and Biden promised a smooth transition, this is anything but smooth. If anything, he's just creating more problems that the Trump administration is going to have to deal with on day one, which they'll probably deal with flawlessly. But just any way for them to tamper with the Trump administration coming in on January 20th, they're going to do anything.
And talk about smooth transition 2 days in a row. Yesterday, ATACMS can be, or 2 days ago, ATACMS can be unleashed 190 miles. Missiles can be shot into Russia all of a sudden. And then for anti-personnel landmines. And then Putin's shooting intercontinental ballistic missiles, ICBMs, or similar going into Ukraine. I mean, the hell's breaking loose on this country and internationally. With this president. It's insane. No, I appreciate your call. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Coming up next, how will our money be affected in a second Trump term? How will our taxes, our credit cards, our student loans be affected in good ways, bad ways, or what have you? And what about tax cuts and tariffs? Our pocketbooks and the economy, all that, and small businesses. What's the outlook? Hint, it's better. All that's coming up next. We're going to talk to my incredibly awesome CPA and sponsor, Randy Martin from IRSprob.com. Up next on the Chris Crock Show at 33 after the hour on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. We won a big election for DJT.
Yeah.
Number two, huge. Thank goodness, right? Second of all, we can say, what can we expect? And we got several different articles about what we can expect, what small business owners are saying. And one of your biggest things you do, period, is working with medium and small business owners all across the DFW and all over the region who have tax issues, all over Texas too. So tell me, you want to give me your first broad overview before I talk about some of these articles, or it's up to you, or we can go right into this?
Yeah, well, I mean, the great thing about this is for business owners is, Trump has a lot of really good ideas when it comes to taxes. He's going to move fast. I think this second administration he's going to move. He moved really fast in the first administration to pass that, 2017 Tax Cut and Jobs Act that he passed. I never thought that something like that could have happened so quickly. He did that really a little bit less than a year into his into the administration, and that's incredible. I mean, it took the last time an overhaul like that was done, it was Reagan, and it took him, years to get that through. So Trump knows the rules of the game now. He knows kind of the landmines, and I think we're going to see a lot of good legislation coming here. We got both houses of Congress. We got the trifecta that we were needing. It's not going to be totally smooth, but I'm expecting some really good things from this administration as far as good tax cuts for the small, medium-sized business people. I think it's going to help us out a lot. Go ahead, Chris.
Well, the 2017 tax cuts, he could extend them. Obviously, he will. Maybe he'll modify them. And how does that help us, taxpayers and folks even in lower income tax rates? How does that help us?
The big thing that really helped out the businesses was the qualified business income deduction. Mm-hmm. So, these large corporations, I mean, they have a lot of efficiencies. They have economies of scale that they have, and smaller businesses, whenever the economy does well and smaller businesses get more money, they usually hire people because they need more people. They don't have all the high-end software that an IBM would have or something like that. So it requires more people to run a small business as a portion of the revenue. So I think you're going to see employment pick up, especially in the small business areas. I think that's going to be mainly spurred from people knowing now. There was a lot of nervousness about what was going to happen with taxes if Trump didn't win. I was nervous about it.
Yeah.
And so now that people are getting a clear line of sight on that, I think they're going to make plans. I've really seen, people coming in are a lot more confident in since the election. And they're planning on, trying to make that expansion. I had one in the office today that was, hiring I had recently hired another salesperson, hoping to hire another one on to increase their staff. That's what we're going to see more of with this, because it's if you put money in the hands of small business people, they're very likely going to put a lot of that right back into their business and continue, growing it and helping the economy.
Tax cuts, how do they help us, taxpayers, and even low-income tax folk?
Yeah, well, we'll see how this all filters through, but there's a number of items that he's looking at doing. There's the, child. I think he's going to continue the child tax credits that was put through during the 2017 Tax Cut and Jobs Act. There's going to be additional deductions for retirement savings. He even has in here like a low income retirement savers are going to qualify for a credit as well. And so, yeah, there's being able to write off more of those donations that we give. Being able to, I'm looking at a list of them here.
But I'll tell you what, I wanted to ask about, there's also credit card student loans, and then we'll get to the next one we were talking about too, which is what does it mean for the economy overall? But you got stuff on credit cards, student loans. I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to mention that before we get into the next one, which is the economy, what it means for the economy from your perspective.
Yeah, I think a lot of the promises to pay off student loans. I saw that Biden was making a big push in that, trying to pay off other people's student loans here before he leaves.
Unbelievable.
Along with other things that he's trying to or somebody's trying to do up there. I don't know if it's actually him or not, trying to do it on the way out.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's with the credit cards. I don't know if we'll be able to see that big of a change there. I know the Democrats were trying to limit the fees that they could pay, that they would be able to charge. I don't see the Republicans coming in and trying to place any limits on the cards. I mean, if you don't like your card, go get a different one.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I think too. Okay, and then on the economy, what does it mean for the economy from what we see here in tariffs, tax cuts, and such? I don't know if you had thoughts on that one overall for the economy, how that's going to affect us over. I know you're not an economist, but from your perspective.
I'll tell you, there's something that always bothers me. All of a sudden, the media is so scared about these tariffs, and how they're just going to bring the economy to a halt.
Right.
And how they're terrible for the economy. Well, us taxpayers paying a big chunk of our income to the federal government, that hurts too.
Right.
So I'm really tired of hearing about how these large corporations and foreign corporations are going to have to pay tariffs, Now, I understand. I mean, we need to be careful with them, and I think Trump's using them as a tool in his toolbox, as he should. I think that's great to do a little bit of saber rattling on that and saying, hey, China, if you keep devaluing your currency, we're going to pop you with a tariff.
Right.
It's well deserved. But do they hurt the economy? Well, I mean, it'd be great to not have any tax whatsoever, but I don't see how they hurt it any more than popping the American public, the American people all the time with the federal income tax that, definitely doesn't help us out at all.
Right.
So,
well, we have this too from Forbes, how small businesses might fare from a Trump presidency, and they have some examples. I want, which one do you want to mention? We got lowering the corporate tax rate from 35% to a flat 21, repatriation tax on overseas profits if they stay there, which would incentivize them to come back home with their business and their money, enabling a business to fully deduct the cost of certain capital investments immediately rather than depreciating them over time, which would encourage investment, allowing tax credit for employers that provide paid family and medical leave to employees, and some other things. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, the last two right there are that's what's going to help small and medium-sized businesses. Being able to write off, to do the accelerated depreciation. And what that means is you buy a truck for your business. Let's say you're a landscaper, and you buy what is it now? 50. You can't get much truck for.
I know.
For 50. I mean, it's probably 60 or 70,000.
That was Bidenomics. Yeah.
Larger ones. Yeah. And so instead of depreciating that out over a 5-year period or stretch out to a 6-year period, you get to take all that depreciation in the first year. So the money's spent in the first year. So why not let the business owner, the taxpayer, take the depreciation? That is huge for the small and medium sized business people. That's what helps us out the most as small and medium sized business people. So give us that depreciation, that accelerated depreciation. The credits for family leave and all that's great too. We that's not going to really be a big thing that moves the needle, but it'll help. The taking the tax rate, the corporate tax rate down to 20% and corporate capital gains down to 15%. I'd like to see that, but that really helps out the larger companies. Now it helps out the overall economy as well, but it really, for the most part, that type of corporate structure is the larger companies, the more, it'd be more likely to happen for publicly traded companies. Still good though. The repatriation of dollars abroad, that helps out the economy a lot, because what happens is these multinational companies, they have, if they're set up let's say that they're doing business in Texas, but they also have facilities in Mexico. And that Mexican corporation of theirs, which is a subsidiary, of the Texas corporation, is making money. Well, it pays taxes there, but if it brings those dollars home, right, it has to pay taxes on them again. So I love the idea, and it was a shot in the arm last time, man. It really boosted our economy that year that Trump, allowed them all to bring those home at a discounted tax. And it just brought so much money back into the economy, and all these companies were reinvesting it. That's what helps the economy. That's the shot of the arm that really helps the economy.
Now, we got to go on the way out here, but I got to say, small business optimism ticks after Trump's ticks higher. Optimism of small businesses after Trump's reelection. That doesn't surprise you, does it?
No, we've already seen it. And it's just more of a glow that's going on right now. I mean, it was really, a lot of people were really nervous before the election. I'm no armchair quarterback, or I can't handicap I never was able to handicap the election, but I was nervous about it. I was really concerned with what was going to happen, and when it came through such a resounding, win for Trump, it really cleared up a lot of the fog that we were looking at when we try to peer into the future. Yeah,
it was very punishing fog that was coming our way if we didn't win this election with Trump. Randy Martin,
the great thing about this is a lot of these cuts, a lot of these decreasing the tax in these different areas that he's doing creates great planning opportunities. We saw that last time when the Tax and Jobs Act came. And it allows us to do so many great options for people. Too many people are in structures right now, business structures, where the level of tax that they're having to pay is just unsustainable.
Randy, I really appreciate you always coming on, brother. And if folks want to get in touch with you, and why would they want to get in touch with you? How can they do that?
Yeah. If you want to get in touch with us, give us a call at 214-214-3000 or 214-214-3000. Look us up online at irsprob.com. That's IRSPROB.com.
I love it. How's that sound again? IRS what?
IRSP PROB.com.
A to the men, my brother. P as in Peter or problem. Yes. Paul, problem. Peter, Paul, Mary, problem. Throw everything out of the sink. All right. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you very much. Randy Martin. There he goes.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, sir. Okay, coming up next, Doge. Elon and Vivek, they write a column in the Wall Street Journal telling you why they have some strong powers, why they have a mandate, and what they're going to do. It's fascinating, and it's really, really actually exciting. It really is. This is real, and it's serious, and it's going to also peeve you off when you hear more about this. We'll get to that coming up next. Plus, what did Milton Friedman say about all the renowned Nobel Prize-winning economist and former University of Chicago economics teacher and professor? What did he say about getting rid of departments? I've got the audio. It's really incredible when he was interviewed about this. It's real quick. That's up next on the Chris Crock Show on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. 800-288-9227 is our number. It's mind-blowing. You go, how would I be excited about cutting stuff in the government? But it's really mind-blowing and incredible to see what they're doing. I'm going to share some excerpts of Elon and Vivek's column, The Doge Plan to Reform Government. Everybody should read this. It's a Wall Street Journal. There's two Supreme Court decisions. West Virginia, and this is Trump's Supreme Court. That's why this is recent. West Virginia versus the EPA and Loper Bright versus Raimondo. The justices in West Virginia versus EPA held agencies cannot impose regulations dealing with major economic policy or policy questions until Congress specifically authorizes it. All these regulations, all these major economic policy or questions you can't do it. None of this was supposed to happen. Congress has to authorize it. Number two, Loper Bright versus Raimondo. In this year alone, that just happened. The court overturned the Chevron doctrine that the court held that federal courts should no longer defer to federal agencies' interpretations of the law or their own rulemaking authority. No. They don't go, well, we'll let the EPA. No, that's Congress. So together, Musk and Vivek says these cases suggest a plethora of current federal regulations exceed the authority Congress has granted under law. Doge will work with legal experts embedded in the government agencies, aided by advanced technology. That's where they come into AI or whatever, to apply these rulings to federal regulations enacted by such agencies. Doge will represent this list of regulations to Trump, who can then, by executive action, immediately pause the enforcement of those regulations, initiate the process for review and rescission. This would liberate individuals and businesses from illicit regulations that never passed by Congress and stimulate the United States economy. So you see how big this is? When the president nullifies thousands of regulations, critics will allege overreach. But in fact, Doge will be correcting the executive overreach of thousands of regulations promulgated by administrative fiat that were never authorized by our Congress. I'm going to pause it right there, but I'm going to ask you some things. How much do you think they can cut? You don't have to give a dollar amount. You can say what percentage of our government you think they might be able to slash. Which departments do you think should be eliminated outright or slashed to a much smaller size? And do you support closing most government departments and selling off government land and buildings, including, and this is what the Department of Interior, do you support closing most government departments, selling off most of the government land and buildings, including the 30%? Do you know that our U.S. government owns 30% of our land? So do you support that? Closing those departments, selling off most of the land and buildings that will no longer be used, including that 30% the United States owns of this whole country, of our land? And what could private citizens think about that? What do you think private citizens and companies could do with all that federal land? How much money could we make by doing all these slashing and cutting of our government, and how much could we make and put against our debt, would you think? You know, what does our debt cost us? I want to say it costs us like $1 trillion a year or something. Yeah, look it up for me. I know I could have looked it up real fast, but I think it's like $1 trillion a year or something. Like we're paying more than we pay on almost all of our budgets, singularly. Like a budget for this, a budget for that. I think we're paying the same amount we pay in defense for just to pay the interest on our debt. It's insane. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Lines wide open. Chime in right now. I'm going to share the rest of this, but the rest of this column, not everything, but a lot of the chunks of it that are like, wow. Does it make sense, though, how huge this can be? The servicing the debt is $726 billion last year, so it's going to be probably about $1 trillion this year. You know how that works, right? It's growing, and so just to pay... think of it as a big credit card. To pay the credit card debt, you got interest. Yeah, it's almost $1 trillion a year right now we're paying just to have the debt. It's insane. And so if we slash $1 trillion a year, that could go to slash the budget deficit. And then the regulations and stuff can go back to us and can unleash this economy for mass prosperity. This is amazing. Think of how many laws, rules, and onerous things have been put on us or businesses that they're not even freaking legal. Can you imagine? So what that means is millions of employees have made rules and regulations and put money, taxes, and all sorts of stuff on us that aren't even legal. Wild. All right, you'll hear Milton Friedman in his own words from back in the day tell us all the government departments he would just shut down and close out right if he could. Well, that might start happening.